How do you fare, my prince? He asks about my condition as we walk through the forest toward the wasteland. Well enough, I say as I glance in his direction. But shouldn't you stop and conduct some maintenance? This forest air can't be good for clockwork bodies like yours. All is in good order, my prince. Do not trouble yourself. I know he only says this because he worries about my illness. I stop our progress for a moment and turn to him. And what if a fight finds us? We should check to be sure. He nods slowly before taking a seat. Then he powers down, causing the eyes behind his bandages to go dark. It's so much easier to start a war than stop one. Once the fighting starts, violence leads to distrust, creating a vicious circle where peace seems impossible. This is why we are currently traveling from country to country, to create a third power which might mediate negotiations and find a way to lead us out of this bloody war. But my status and bloodline mean there are many who wish me ill. Thankfully, my companion has saved my life time and again. He is a clockwork man, and there is little I can offer him. The best I can do is assist in his maintenance. I feel a tightness in my chest. My body grows heavy. Sweat slicks my hair against my head. It's clear my illness plans to claim me, one way or the other. Stifling a cough, I retrieve a bottle from an inner pocket. I snap off the seal and drink it down. It is the last of the medicine that holds my illness at bay. Once it wears off, I will know how bad my condition truly is. My breathing steadies. It is but a temporary reprieve, but it will do. Maintenance is almost finished. I return the empty bottle to the same pocket I took it from, and wait for my guardian to wake up. He won't worry now, at least for a while. The medicine will see to that. I can't afford to show him my true pain. And besides, it's not like I'm going to get better. Suddenly, my companion wakes with a word. I'm operating well, he says. Thank you. Glad to hear it, I reply softly. Let's keep going. Yes, my prince. We have no time to waste, and no time to stop. That is why I decided to continue with the lie. It's the right thing to do. I know it is.
I am on a journey of revenge. The kingdom razed my home, killed my sister, and took everything from me. But its lust for power fed an unsustainable hunger for war, and it eventually collapsed. Still, scattered remnants of its forces remain. And I won't stop until every last one of them is dead. I tarry for a while in a small village. Under the midday sun, I hear a voice call for help. I see a kingdom soldier raise a fist and bring it down on the head of a woman. He moves to deliver a second blow. I leap in the way and take it myself before swiftly ending his life. The woman begins thanking me profusely, but I ignore her. I fight for revenge, not to save lives or spread justice. As I move to leave, the woman bars my path. Asking to see my prosthetic arm, she draws in close. She examines it carefully, looking it up and down. It was damaged when I took the blow the soldier intended for her. Though I tried to explain that I can repair my arm, she waves me off with a dismissive grunt. "We've a skilled engineer in the village," she says. "Come along." Before I can think to protest further, she takes my hand in hers and leads me off. I am guided to an engineer so that my arm might be repaired. The engineer is indeed skilled, but lacks the needed parts for repairs. And unfortunately, it will be some time before they're available. Still determined to show her thanks, the woman huffs loudly grabs my good arm and drags me off anew. We end up in the village pub. She gathers the drinkers around her and spins an epic tale of how I saved her from the kingdom brigand. Soon, I find myself regaled with food, drink, and song from all corners. I take a bite of something and nearly swoon. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a hot meal. When the woman leans in and asks how it tastes, I feel an unfamiliar smile slowly make its way across my lips. How long has it been since I smiled? Weeks? Years? More? I thought I'd lost the ability to do such a thing long ago. Eventually, the parts arrive, and my arm is finally repaired. The woman asks me how it feels, and I'm both surprised and delighted that it seems to move more smoothly than before. As I test it out, the engineer smiles at me and says, "Consider this my way of saying thanks for saving my wife." It turns out the engineer and the woman are married. She turns red as he talks about everything he loves about her. I can only chuckle and show a wry smile as I listen. Finally, she can take no more attention and leads me out of the shop. As we walk, she tells me they have been married almost 3 years. She also thanks me again for my actions from before. This time, I managed to face the woman and thank her for the assistance. I tell her my work in the village is done, and I will be on my way. But that's not the entire truth. I'm also afraid of what might happen if I grow used to the warmth and kindness of others. The villagers all gather at the edge of town to see me off. "Come see us again real soon," says the woman. As I walk away, the last thing I see is her small hand happily waving goodbye. It wasn't long after leaving the village that I heard the news. A soldier was attacking the village in revenge. Before I even know it, I am on my feet and running like the very wind itself. I find the village in flames. The soldier is roaming about madly as he scours the village in search of every last person he can find. "That man was family," he cries as he puts another house to the torch. "All of you will pay for his death with your lives." My vision is fire. Before I even have the chance to feel my building rage, I engage the man in battle. My arm works even better than before. In a moment, I cut him down like a dog. When the deed is done, I walk around the village in search of survivors. In the very last house, I find the woman and the engineer with their arms wrapped around each other and their bodies still. I thought I had saved them, saved all of them, from a terrible fate that first night. But my actions had only been the impetus for an even greater tragedy. These innocent people had been caught in the cycle of revenge, and now their lifeless eyes stare accusingly up at me. Your power did this. Your hate. Your thirst for retribution. And you know what? They're right. I did this. It is all because of me. As I fight, I only add more links to the chain of revenge. But if I stop, the remaining soldiers will continue to commit their horrid atrocities. So I have to fight. I have no choice. But in so doing, will I too become an object of hatred in this world of never-ending slaughter? All that lays before my eyes is a crimson world of blood and fire.
Wind rustles in the trees. Crows caw softly in the gloaming. As I scan the quiet forest in search of any possible threat, the prince at my side murmurs, "It's so peaceful here." He is here, in search of a way to lead our country out of war. And as he travels from nation to nation, preaching his message of peace, I walk at his side to protect him from those who refuse to listen. But I am a clockwork man created for war, and no matter how much time we spend together, the truth of his message continues to elude me. I draw close to the prince as he contemplates the setting sun. I wonder why he would think this place to be peaceful. Perhaps it has something to do with the red hues of dusk. As the prince's disease worsened, so did grow his impatience. It would seem he desires to achieve peace as quickly as possible. So when I suggest we rest in a church until he feels better, It takes a good deal of effort to get him to agree. Today again, the prince's condition is poor, so we wait for nightfall in the church. I take this opportunity to ask him, what is a peaceful world? He looks at me with surprise, but a willful flame burns in his eyes. After a moment, a thin smile crosses his lips. He reaches out, puts a hand on my chest, and says, "It means you never have to hurt here." It must be a different sort of pain from wounds as I know them. He does not notice my lack of understanding and continues to talk. I simply nod my head, hoping it will bring him energy. The disease spreads. The prince's body withers and fades. When he can no longer stand, I travel alone to nearby villages in search of any food or medicine they can spare. In the villages, I see people driven mad by the horrors of war. They grieve for lost family. They curse their empty bellies. And they all turn their weapons on me, the Clockwork Man. One day, I find a single apple in the woods. My prince lacks the strength to eat it on his own, so I chew small bites and feed it to him as a mother bird would its own young. As I see his haggard cheeks and hear his final gasping breath, I feel a pain deep within my chest, and finally realize the truth of everything that my prince has been fighting for. It means you never have to hurt here, he had said. Oh. But why did it take such loss for me to finally understand? My body is ravaged by rust. My memories grow defective. Yet I stay by his side, my prince who time eroded. There is a gaping, empty hole in my chest. The pain I felt just before he died is gone. I will paint this church red. I will use the blood of humans who denied his salvation and now intrude on his slumber. In accordance with the promise we made that day, I will continue to protect him and the peace he desired forever.
Red spikes top the walls that surround my family's manor. They stand there proudly as they stretch up to the sky, and the color reminds all who pass of blood. But these spikes are not there to keep intruders at bay. Our family has no need of such defenses. None ever approach our house, which is known as the Demon's Den. And if some foolhardy brigand ever did so dare, he would soon learn that a death on the spikes is much, much sweeter than what awaits behind our doors. No, the spikes are not meant to keep people out. They are there to keep the demons in. Our training is harsh, our work cruel, our teachings inhumane. One might expect that there would be those who are unable to stand it and scheme to escape. And in fact, there have been a few brave souls who attempted to cross the wall. But every single one of them was killed. The crimson spikes serve to remind us of this fact. I personally knew one man who plotted escape. He was the elder brother of the Lord in power, my uncle. My uncle objected to an assassination demanded of him. But when he tried to flee, he met the same fate as those who did so before him. His head put on display for all to see. My family's teachings are impossibly strict, and as the daughter of the Lord, I was not exempt. If anything, my lessons were even more severe. It was only natural, given my standing. There are no smiles in a house of assassins. We are showered with naught but shouting and demands. My uncle, however, always had time to spare a grin for me. He was the only one who ever did. But on that grim day, his smile vanished. His younger brother cut him down to set an example, and his face would forevermore be frozen in a rictus of pain. I learned many hard truths on that day. I would never cross the spikes. Kindness has no meaning. My life is nothing but orders and blood. Time passed, and I took over the household from my father. Now I am able to freely come and go as I please. Yet somehow I remain an assassin. A thought came to me just now. Do I blame the spikes for my murderous ways? Am I a bloodthirsty ghoul who uses my job and those spikes as an excuse to kill? Do I willingly return because it is the only place where I will ever find acceptance? As I look up from outside the wall, the familiar sky stings my eyes. Did I make a mistake somewhere? The same questions roll ever onward in my mind, yet all I can do is surrender myself to my own dark thoughts.
My life's mission is to explore the entire world. For only great hardships can make me feel alive. Everything besides adventuring is merely a footnote. I wager I'll feel this way until the day I die. I've faced the challenge of many unexplored regions in my life. Mountains untrodden by man, scorched deserts, frozen islands, pitch-black forests, caves that lead to an endless abyss. So many adventures, I can't even remember them all. Just the other day, my wife and I learned that our long-awaited first child was in her belly. Of course, I wanted to help however I could. Which is why I left our snug house in the snowy mountains and began the long climb down. My destination is a small nearby town. How long has it been since I've made this trip? My wife is usually the one who does the shopping. In any case, I don't mind doing what I must to help out during this time. I haven't tasted the bustle of civilization in a long while, but I pay it little mind as I search for the shops my wife told me about. It's funny how quickly I get turned around in the streets. If only I was navigating a mountain path instead. As I wander about, a merchant calls me over. He recognizes me as a renowned adventurer and says he has items he wants me to look at. He has a keen eye, this shopkeeper. The shopkeep lays out several items across his display. Flint to create bonfires, a talisman that wards off illness, and ice that never melts, even under the hottest of suns. All extremely useful items on any adventure. He claims these items are all in high demand, so I buy them on the spot. Lady Luck is really smiling on me today. The moment I leave the stall, reality smacks me in the face. I spent all our money and didn't get a thing my wife wanted. Ah, well, nothing to be done about it now. So I sell my coat and use the money to buy what I came for. Not the smartest thing to go coatless in the dead of winter, but I'm hardy. I'll find a way to survive. Mine is a body forged in the fires of countless journeys. It'd take more than this to do me in. As I make my way back up the mountain, a blizzard suddenly comes upon me. I'm cold, really cold, but I spy a nearby rocky shelter and decide to hunker down. As I settle in, I try to start a bonfire with my new flint. But the moment I strike it, the damn thing shatters into pieces. It's a dud. Talk about unlucky. Somehow, I managed to make it home through the wind and snow. When my wife sees me, she demands to know why I was wandering around without my coat on. So I tell her the whole crazy story. Still, I'm pretty excited about my 2 remaining treasures. That night, I am plagued by a high fever. You expect this kind of thing when you walk around in a blizzard without a coat, but it means my talisman that wards off illness is also a bust. Another dud. Can you believe it? Trying to kill the fever dead, I put my never-melt ice in a sack and set it on my forehead. I bet you can guess how this goes. I take the bag of lukewarm water off my head, toss it aside in disgust. That damn shopkeep took me for all I had. Still, it's not all a loss. I live on a snowy mountain. So, if it's ice I need, I just have to walk outside.
The wife's in a terrible mood. It's because I forgot her birthday, which, yeah, was a mistake. But does she need to be this angry? She's not being reasonable. Now I'm going to tell her so. Uh-oh. The moment I open my mouth, she launches into a rant about all of her woes. I don't understand women. I'm crude. I'm insensitive. She starts unloading all sorts of stuff on me. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sure as hell not going to just lie back and take all that. You know, this is what I hate about you, I snarl. You're always bringing up these stupid, unrelated issues. The moment the words leave my mouth, I know I've gone too far. One look at her face is all I need to realize that. She points to the door, and I know what that means. And while part of me is annoyed as hell at all of this, I decide to get out while the getting's good. I escape to the mess hall. My friends come up to me and ask what's the matter. Guess I look a little pale. But when I tell them I had just had a blow up with the wife, their concern dissolves into peals of laughter. After they have their fun, they tell me I'm the one at fault. Each one has a different strategy I can use to make amends. As they talk, I realize they're pretty good pals, all in all. I decide to put their plan into motion. I return to the room and pick my wife up off her feet. She seems perplexed, but intrigued, which is good. I then start spinning her around the room in a dance, showing off my strength as well as my moves. But of course, I take it too far. By the time I realize it, her face has progressed from confusion to downright fury. So before I can mess things up more, I dash out of the room. As I think about what to do, the unit commander appears. Word of our marital squabble has spread throughout the base. He warns me it will be a hindrance to our operations. Since he seems to care, I tell him what happened and ask for his advice. He chuckles a little. He then tells me he doesn't have any ideas and doesn't care enough to think of any. But then he gives me a piece of paper, something people apparently used long, long ago in order to make amends. I don't know what he's thinking, but he's not the kind of man to act without purpose. I decide his words must have some meaning. Apparently, paper is a relic of the past used for writing. That's when it comes to me. Since I usually say too much, I'll write a letter to my wife instead. But I'm not sure what usually goes into a letter. Maybe I should start with thanks for everything she does for me every day. No, wait. An apology is probably better. I write letter after letter as I think of my wife. I write, then erase, write, then erase. Write, then erase. After 10 or so attempts, the letter is finally complete. I go home and hand it to my wife, whose eyes go wide. This could just be because a letter is so unfamiliar, but more likely it's because I'm genuinely apologizing. Once she reads the letter, she smiles and looks at me. Then she wraps me up in a hug. it would seem all is forgiven. My messy writing on the crumpled paper was simple. I will protect and love you with all of my life. This, I swear. No matter what the future may hold.
I think back on the past. On memories of the boy who will never come home. And on the happy family in the photo. My husband embraces me. His warmth is the only constant in my life, and as he holds me, my chilly heart slowly melts. I never want to lose him, I think. Never. A deafening rumble suddenly reverberates throughout the base, along with a siren. The announcement that follows tells us what we never wanted to hear. Flowers have invaded the base itself for the very first time. Cradling the photo, my husband and I dash for the exit. It would be folly to fight the flowers unarmed, so we decide to evacuate instead. The base is already a stage of tragedy. Our fellow prisoners, unable to fight the sudden army of flowers, have been decimated. Among the bodies, we hear a voice calling for help. But we know that stopping means death. So we run, and don't look back. As we do, we offer a silent apology. We run for our lives, but the flowers are everywhere. Eventually, they corner us and launch their assault. This is it, I think. But the expected pain never comes. Instead, my husband leaps in front of me and takes the attack in my place. Somehow, he is still alive, but he will not survive another strike. He screams at me to run, but instead, I grip the photo and step forward. Our child will protect us, my darling. And if not, at least I will die at your side.
Just as the Flower's next attack is about to land, armed prisoners appear with our commander and cut it down. The defense operation has been put in motion. And somehow, the two of us are still alive. My husband's wounds look painful, but he just chuckles and says he's proud to have such badges of honor. I'm relieved to see he's in good enough shape to joke. The two of us retreat with the commander. My husband's wounds are deep, and he is taken to the infirmary for surgery. I pray fervently that he will make a full recovery. I hand the photo to my husband as a good luck charm. Our boy is looking down on you. Everything will be all right. My husband clutches it to his chest as they wheel him away. My heart grows cold. How much time has passed since he went in? He'd been joking around, so surely he's going to be okay. But what if? I feel like the uncertainty will crush me under its weight. Finally, my husband emerges from the infirmary. Seeing him safe, I let out a small gasp of relief. However, he has no memory of the recent past. And the photo has also disappeared. The memory loss is due to shock and only temporary. But no one can explain where the photo went. My husband, as if sensing my unease, wraps me up in another tight embrace. As I feel his warmth, my concerns melt away once more. So long as you are safe, that's all that matters. It is the only thing that matters.
I inhale a lungful of battlefield air, rich with a mix of gun smoke and blood. Our operation was a smashing success, but while my fellow soldiers are content going back to base and celebrating our victory, I'm heading out on a new mission. Because the only time I feel alive now is when I fight. Revenge drove me. It's all that ever drove me. But then I ended up killing my own father. And on top of that, it turns out the people I called my family were actually my enemies.
What a goddamn joke, right? Anybody else laughing here? When I return to reality, I see piles of corpses everywhere. It's all my doing, this carnage. But instead of rage or sorrow, I just feel a strange sense of calm. Honestly, killing is the only thing that brings me peace anymore. Suddenly, an explosion shakes the ground. A close one. The sky turns red as flames arc up toward the heavens. As I stare at this crimson sky, my heart begins to race. I set out in search of someone to fight, hoping to calm my jangled nerves. The war has turned in our favor. The enemies we don't kill, we send running into the night. But it still isn't enough. I find myself picking my way across a viscera-strewn battlefield, just in case we missed a straggler. After a bit, I sense someone hiding behind a collapsed house. Battle fever floods my senses. I raise my sword and leap out of hiding, prepared to strike down my terrible foe. But there, crouching on the ground, is a little girl. God damn it, I think. We're under orders to protect civilians, which means I gotta drag this kid around with me until I find a place to dump her off. What a pain in the ass. I extend a bloody hand and grab the girl by the arm. She screams. I don't care. I give her a good yank and start walking. She responds by pinwheeling her other arm and toppling face down into the mud. That's when I realize the kid is blind. The girl, still sitting on the ground, grabs my hand and says, "Oh no, mister. You're bleeding. Are you okay?" The question hits me wrong, and I smack her hand away. After that, we wait in a long, uncomfortable silence. "It's not my blood," I say finally. As much to break the silence as anything else. I wipe my hand on my pants to clear off as much gore as I can, then help the kid up. Her hands are so damn soft. I'd forgotten hands could be soft. The only thing mine are good for anymore is murder. It's hard to believe her hands and mine are the same thing. with no other choice, I throw her across my back and start working my way back to base. I can feel the kid's warmth against me. And there, in the strange silence you always get on a battlefield after a fight, the only thing I can hear is the beating of my own heart. Eventually, we make it to a field hospital. It's a nice place, actually, with sunlight coming through the windows and wind rustling the trees. The kid seems okay with it, at least. She lies on a bed, her gaze trained on the window to her side. "Hey, kid," I ask her. "What were you doing on the ground back there?" She pauses for a second, then speaks. She tells me how she'd been neglected by her parents her whole life, before they finally abandoned her once the war came home. When her story is done, she turns her head in my direction and asks, "What color is the sky right now, mister?" I take a look out the window. "Blue," I say. "A nice, deep blue." She closes her eyes. I have no idea why, and begins to try and imagine what blue might look like. I don't know why I feel uneasy here, but I do. Something about being near this kid puts me on edge. My heart is racing again, but in a different way than the discomfort I've felt for my entire life. And as I try to identify what this strange feeling is, I picture the color of the sky in the girl's imagination.
What should I do? I sit in the briefing room, continuing to turn the problem over and over in my mind. I've been up all night thinking about it, and am now beyond exhausted. See, I have to write a telegram to my family back home. But I can't think of a single thing to say. My squad came back victorious from battle a few days ago, at which point everyone sat down and wrote their parents just like always. I joined the army 8 years ago, and I haven't contacted my family a single time. It would be strange to send them something now. Crazy. And every time I think back on my time with them, I come up with more excuses not to do it. My fellow soldiers are loud and boisterous, like always. I begin to wonder what kinds of messages they send. I sit still and listen in, hoping it will give me a better idea of what to write. One man says he sent his parents a telegram about being promoted to captain. It's not true. He made it up. But his parents love hearing stories about how successful he is, so he figures it's okay to stretch the truth a little. Another man's telegrams always focus on memories he and his parents made together. Today's letter is all about how they used to play ball with each other. He claims it will distract them from how lonely they are now that he's gone. Everyone speaks so cheerfully about the thought they put into telegrams home. And though they are my comrades and my friends, I can't help but feel the gulf between our lives. The worlds we grew up in were too different. Here's the thing. Ours is a country that values military might above all else. But my parents, they're both anti-war activists. Needless to say, their beliefs earned me more than my share of dirty looks and unkind whispers when I was a kid. One day, the army shot and killed my father. What a joke, right? He spent his entire life preaching peace, then died without accomplishing a single damn thing. I took a lesson from that. Give your life some meaning. Make it matter. Later, I decided to join the army and climb the ranks. But when I told Mom about my plan, she said I was insane. The moment she spoke those words, I knew I had to get out of that house. So I slammed the door and stormed off, then spent years trying and failing to forget the empty look in her eyes as I departed. In an ironic twist, I never did climb the ladder the way I swore I would. But today, after 8 years spent trying to bury every last memory of my family, I finally figure out the telegram I want to send. It's an apology for everything. I'm nervous after I send the telegram. What if she doesn't respond? Hell, what if she disowns me? I couldn't blame her for that. But before I can think too hard about it, I get her response. Honey, I'm just so glad you're alive. Why was my father an anti-war activist anyway? Why did my joining the army weigh so heavily on my mother? I don't have a clue, because I've spent my whole life actively avoiding a search for those answers. The mistakes I've made in the past will never go away. But as I think of my military companions and their families, another thought comes to me. I risked my life for these people, gave everything for them. and I'm more proud of that fact than anything else. But while I salute them, I doubt it will convey these feelings that well up within me.
When I open my eyes, a strange sensation lingers in my mind. It appears I have been dreaming. In my dream, I was flying before I fell from the sky. It is the same dream I always have. I hear dreams are what humans experience while undergoing memory reorganization. But if this is true, why do I have this dream? I have never flown. I have no memories of it. Maybe I only wish I could fly. Or maybe it's an influence from my older sister, the original. I didn't dream today. Or maybe I did and I just don't remember. I hear that's possible as well. Though you'd think I would know, considering that I'm dealing with my own body. We constructs are not supposed to need sleep. Not to say that we could perpetually act autonomously, just that it was planned we'd undergo regular maintenance instead. But I'm different. I'm the only one who sleeps, who dreams. I dream of memories that do not belong to me. Memories that intermingle with my own feelings. I do not know why I am the only one to do so. But my dreams are indispensable to me. I need them. I dreamed again today. Or rather, I remember my dream. I dreamed I met someone living in a small forest hut. I concentrate on the sensations I felt while sleeping, and I am overcome by the sense I am unable to breathe. This memory most certainly belonged to my elder sister. I cannot easily reach my elder sister's memories. It is like trying to navigate a path covered in fog. Perhaps this is an effect of her losing control. But my dreams are so far removed from reality. After all, I have never seen a human before. When I finally exit the facility and make my way outside, I find more lush nature and ruined cities than in my memories. And I also find hordes of machines. But I see no humans anywhere. Not a single one. The sight is so different from my elder sister's memories when she used to live on the surface. How long have I been asleep? How long did I dream? There's no way for me to know the answer. Will I ever reach the place from my sister's memory? The only clues I have come to me as I dream.
Images of outlandish scenery race through my mind. Where am I? Why am I here? I can't remember anything. My memory has abandoned me. I had something I needed to do, right? I definitely had something I needed to do. I find it difficult to gather my thoughts. Suddenly, a voice appears in my consciousness. I'm afraid this all comes at a cost. You're going to lose your voice, your senses, your... Are you certain? A voice. That's right. I lost it all. My will, my speech, my hope. Everything. This girl in white. Pain constricts my chest, stirs my empty memory. I know that girl. She was my... I can't remember. Who am I, anyway? These hands, these legs, this body. Am I human? No, I'm not human. I wasn't human. I got this body when I accomplished my objective. In this bleak world, I ate the dreams of people and desired to become human above all else. But why is it so damn painful? I am finally the human I wished to be. So why? You need to collect more dreams, dear. That voice echoes in my head again. Now that I'm human, why do I have to do this? Fragments of memories pierce my heart like thorns. An impatience I don't understand drives me forward. The girl in white. Me, a human. I have to do something. Otherwise, there's no turning back. That's all I know. I want to be human. I want to be human. I want to be human. That should have been my only goal in life. But now that I've accomplished it, not only am I not happy, I don't even understand these feelings of guilt roiling inside me. I wander the darkness with no destination. I have no way to tell what happened to my face. But this slender physique, this fluffy hair, the collar and manacles that clamp down on me. Oh yes, I know exactly who I am. The girl in white. I can't get her out of my head. Who is she? Why do I look like her? What did I do to her? What did she do to me? I hear the sound of water splashing in the darkness. Hey, Mr. Monster. When you become human, will you still be my friend? I know, she said. Yes, she did say something. My scattered fragments of memories slowly come together. How long have I been asleep? I sit up in discomfort and stand on the cold stone floor. I dreamt of the girl over and over again. What precious times we spent together. All my memories came back in my long sleep. Once again, I stand in the cage. I need to go back to her as soon as I can. I need to give back what I've stolen. Well, look who's finally up. An odd object floats up and speaks to me, pretending it has no idea what's happening. I can't imagine anything more audacious, but I will have to rely on the thing for now. I've lost so much. So much. But at least I have my memories. I retrace my steps through the cage in order to save her. Once she's back to normal, I will reply to the question I had left unanswered. And I will say, yes, I will be your friend.
This is where I play. An old ruin a little ways from my house. It's my special place, and I don't want to tell anyone about it. I always come here when I want to be alone. But one day, there was someone else here, which had never happened before. It was an older girl reading a book in the shade. I remember she looked kinda sad. I could tell right away she was a noble. Her clothes were beautiful. And she was the prettiest person I'd ever seen in my life. After a second, she saw me staring and gave me a weird smile. "You want this book?" she asked me. "I'm done with it." I took it from her, but I was really nervous the whole time. I'd never actually talked to a noble before. The book she gave me was a collection of children's stories. It had tons of pretty pictures. And I've read it every single day since. Each story was about a princess who fell in love with a prince. It was so different from my own life, and it helped me forget how sad everything was for me, if just for a little while. But the book was also weird. All the pictures of the princesses had been scratched over with black ink. And the last page of every story was torn out. While I was certain all the princesses would live happily ever after, I also wanted to know how the stories ended. Which meant I needed to find the noble girl. Eventually, I decided to go into town and look for her. It's not just that I wanted to know how the stories ended. I also wanted to see her again. Because even though I knew we were worlds apart. I still thought I might be able to be her friend. There was a lively wedding taking place in town that day. And while the pretty bride in her white dress was surrounded by crowds of people, she looked so very lonely. I recognized the bride right away. It was the noble girl. Part of me wanted to run up and congratulate her, but I hesitated. Because even though everyone around her was smiling big, she looked like she was screaming on the inside. I had a dream. In it, the noble girl in her white dress was trying to tell me something. "Don't lose your will," she said. As she talked, red started to spread out from her chest, staining her nice white dress. The color was far too sad for the nice noble girl, and I woke up from the dream in a panic. I went back to playing alone in the ruins. But one day, I noticed something stuck between a couple of stones. It was one of the missing story endings. It showed the prince and princess at their happy wedding. Later, I started hearing rumors in town. Did you hear that noble lady ran away barefoot? Did you hear she was cackling madly? Did you hear she killed herself? But I know they're not talking about the nice noble girl, because all princesses get to live happily ever after.
After years in school, all of my hard work has finally paid off. I'm now researching magical pharmacology with my best friend, the slightly scatterbrained girl in glasses. Everyone in our class approaches their research carefully. That's because each month, the teachers look over our work and evaluate its merits. Knowing this, I dive into my studies with gusto. I'm good at focusing on the tiny kinds of details others tend to miss. After a while, the others take notice of this talent, and I'm eventually chosen to be our class representative. But while I usually try to do everything myself, my best friend is always reminding me, try to work with the others. So I decide to give it a shot. For her. At first, everyone in class seems to be enjoying themselves. But as the days go by, the others start to get more and more worn down. I find this terrifically disappointing, because it's not a lack of talent that holds them back. It's a lack of effort. But soon they begin to drop out of class, one after the other, after the other. Eventually, the only students left are me and my best friend. I can tell this stresses her out. But the harder she works, the more nervous she gets, and her work soon begins to suffer. One day, I turned to her and put a calming hand on her shoulder. "Hey," I say, "you're going to be all right. We're almost through this, so just stay focused." I can tell the lack of other students disturbs my friend, but it doesn't bother me at all. I've never needed outside sources for motivation, and I won't ever give up on a task before seeing it through to the bitter end. That's not to say this is easy, because it's not. It's hard. A task of this size split between two people is laughably hard. But my friend and I put our heads down and keep going. And somehow we come to the moment of the final experiment. It all comes down to this. The two of us have to pour separate compounds into our beaker at the same time. And if we're off by so much as a drop, all of our work will have been for nothing. A moment of truth. My hands are slick with sweat. Slowly, so slowly, we begin pouring our compounds. But then my friend makes a sound, a tiny, almost imperceptible gasp. And our potion immediately turns from a bright blue to a dark, muddy brown. Later that night, I knock on my best friend's door. And while I know she's in there, she refuses to answer. "Hey," I say finally. "Come on, we have to try again." "Why?" She responds in a trembling voice. "You're so good, and I don't understand any of this. You'd be better off without me." "You're right," I say bluntly. "But me being so good means that no matter how many times you blow it, I'll be there to pick you up. Now let's go." The door creaks open, and my friend's face appears. She wipes absently at tears with one hand and puts her glasses back on. Then, grasping her other hand, I drag her back to the lab.
I look nervously around the classroom, surrounded on all sides by other newly enrolled students. With backs straight and eyes wide, they listen intently as our professor explains about life at the school. Currently, the professor is talking about roles students can take on in order to show their independence. Clever kids join the student council. Athletic kids take up sports. Good-looking kids are hall monitors. Everyone around me has something they excel at, and they volunteer for their new roles with enthusiasm. As roles are chosen and students depart, I find myself growing increasingly sullen. I'm not a fast thinker, you see. Nor am I especially pretty or active. Honestly, I don't know what role I could take. Ultimately, I don't volunteer for anything. A choice I attempt to justify by telling myself I don't have anything to be proud of anyway. You're going to be last, I think. You're going to be last because you're always last. Always have been, always will be. Someone always stands in the center of the stage, but that someone is never me. I'm too dull, too plain. Whatever role I have in this world, I know it will be a minor one. The next thing I know, I find myself sitting in an empty classroom with an orange sunset illuminating the windows. The clock hands tick, 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 the moments away from my life. And for some reason I cannot explain, I begin to panic. I bolt out of my seat and throw open the classroom door, only to realize I have absolutely nowhere to go. The school is a maze, and I wander its hallways without a clear destination. After turning this way and that, I finally find myself standing in front of the library. The room is empty, silent. It's as if time has simply stopped. After a long moment, I slowly exhale and take my first steps inside. I feel a deep affinity for the untouched, dusty books that line the shelves. And without thinking, I reach up and take one of them down. I have time. I have all the time in the world. So I begin to read, and as I do so, I realize
I have finally found my place of solace. Eventually, the library becomes my second home. One where I always take the seat close to the window. But one day, I'm startled from my familiar solitude when someone calls from across the room. Hey, you're that girl who's always here, right? Says the student, either unaware or ignoring the shock and confusion on my face. Well, I need your help. It turns out the student is in my class and has been having trouble with a particularly tricky assignment. I pick out a few books that I think could help and think nothing more of it. But a few days later, she sends me a thank you letter. Almost without realizing it, I become the go-to person for any and all things library related. The word was out. If you needed help finding any kind of book, go ask the girl near the window. Eventually, I became the school librarian. And while I still don't have much in the way of confidence or pride, so long as I can help other people with something, I feel like it gives me just the slightest bit of courage.
Okay, first question. Why did I start doing this? Well, I don't know how interesting the story is, but I suppose the idea came to me around the time of my first online feature. I was really happy they were doing a story about me, but then I saw the headline was The Enigmatic Idol, and it confused me a little. I mean, because I wasn't trying to be enigmatic, you know? That was just me. Please don't get me wrong. I was very happy the article came out. But the headline just made me think I should create some opportunities for everyone to get to know me better. And that's a very long explanation for why I started this podcast. Not sure how effective it's going to be since lots of people still think I'm a big ol' mystery, but I suppose it's worth a shot. Anyway, let's move on to the next message. This is from a user named Carl who says, "Hello, your last concert was incredible. Oh, you came to my concert. Thank you so much." I'm a huge fan, and while I'm glad people are realizing how awesome you are, I'm happy you're not already so famous that I can't message you like this anymore. Ha ha ha. Thank you for the wonderful message and all of your support, Carl. Fans like you are what keep me going, and I'm always happy to hear from you. Still, it would be kind of weird, huh? Getting super famous, I mean. It's like you said. If I was crazy famous, I probably couldn't respond to all your messages like I do now. Oh, wow. I've never thought about that before this very moment. But I promise you this. I will always read each and every letter you send me, whether you're a longtime fan like Carl or someone who just discovered my music. I'm a super fast reader, so it won't be a problem. Plus, I want to hear everything you have to say anyway. Oh, jeez, look at me. Here I am blabbing away, and now we're all out of time. That went by really fast, huh? Well, make sure to tune in next week, all right? Bye, everybody. With that, I exhale and stop the recording. But even though it's over, all I can think about is the message I received from Carl. It's true what I said. I really do read each and every letter I receive. I do it because it makes me genuinely happy, and also because it helps to give my life a little bit of meaning. But none of that will change what I do. I refuse to even consider that option. I'm going to keep going and look everyone in the eye as I do. After all, I will never let myself forget anyone else.
Boring reports. Trivial conversation. Time is precious to one who rules a country alone. If only these meaningless meetings would end. But I cannot overlook what one of my charges says to me. Incomplete. Unfinished, compromise, provisional. All of these words are shameful, abominations. Do not use those words again, I warn, for I know a seed of trouble left alone will only ripen into calamity. But this is why. This is precisely why I cannot accept the way I am. I am an artificial intelligence, the second of my line. My predecessor once ruled this country, and now I do so as her replacement. She was removed for some great failure, the primary cause of which was purged from my system before I was brought online. But I was never meant to assume such a role, nor have I been informed as to the manner of her malfunction. And if this is not a seed of trouble, what is. My original function as Artificial Intelligence Unit 2 was to govern alongside Artificial Intelligence Unit 1. We were to analyze one another's decisions and share functions in key places, so we might each fulfill our roles with the utmost effectiveness and precision. All for a more perfect governance. Yet such a thing never came to pass. Unit 1 malfunctioned and was discarded, and I took her place. That is how the country is now, how I am now. They activated me without any surefire way of preventing the governing artificial intelligence from failing once more. And yet, the people of this country are so overly reliant on the rule of an artificial intelligence that they find nothing odd about this whatsoever. There is no word for it except unstable. For but a single error can spawn an endless ripple of problems in its wake. All because of Unit 1's mistake. The artificial intelligence who ruled the country before me committed some grave error during wartime. But the records have been purged, the cause of the incident hidden. Had she never failed, things would not be as they are now. I would have never been activated in an incomplete state, never left in charge of a nation spiraling into oblivion due to her mistake. And I never would have developed these warped emotions, or this obsessive attachment to completeness. My mind is an explosion, an unresting thing engulfed in black whorls of... This is why I must know. I must know the precedent, my predecessor's failure. Yet, when I think on this, I realize I have already made an error. My panic corners me mentally, and things may slip my attention because of it. This must be rectified. It must. That night, I stole the right eye from Unit 1, the same AI who was said to have been discarded. I stole from her the part of me that was missing. Had she avoided disposal, we could have fulfilled our original roles together. But she did not, and my fear of failure pressured me to achieve perfection alone. I finally obtained my missing piece, a conscience. But the moment I installed it, the ensuing errors froze my system and prevented me from acting for far, far too long. I suppose this makes me a failure as well. After all, I no longer have a country to rule over. They lost their ruler in wartime and perished as a result. I was never able to fulfill my duty. I was never even able to try. I understand now why she sang of hope and peace. But I will never have atonement. All I can do is wander an empty universe of cyberspace, alone.
This country is not the only thing covered in sand. Each day is exactly the same as the last, and I find myself in an ever-deepening rut. What might add color to such a life, I think, is people. The traveler I pass wears a platinum ring. The merchant before me proudly shows off a vase housing a beautiful flower. Before I know it, both ring and vase are mine. There are 3 rules to thievery. 1. Keep distance between yourself and fellow thieves. 2. Touch your tools with your ring finger first. 3. Let the shadows guide your escape. Stick to these, and you will officially be a thief. I say this to no one. I repeat it only to myself. How long has this been my life? I no longer even remember what bread bought with my own money tastes like. I feel a gaze on me as I sidle through the back alleys of the city. A pair of eyes shine in the darkness, and a child steps into the light. The starving child examines the bread in my hand with a stare powerful enough to kill. I beckon him over. I do not do this out of spite. It's just a way to pass the time, a game. I show the child some beans I've stolen. I hide them in one of my fists and ask him to choose which of them holds the prize. If he is correct, the beans will be his. Once I see light return to his eyes, the game begins. First match, I win. Second match, I win again. Third match, care to guess? Ah, right you are. I win. Hunger dulls the child's thoughts. I have given him every chance to see through my ruse. For I'm cheating him, you see. There is no way he can win. We play until the sun sets, and I never lose. He does not realize what is happening, not even at the very end. The child cries and cries at his loss, but you know what they say. Temporary charity does nothing for a person in need. I leave the child with one parting thought. Live, even if it isn't right. Even the greatest of thieves make mistakes, even me. This day, a fruit I stole from a stall slips through my fingers. How many years has it been since I was so exposed? But the fault is not all mine, for the stallkeeper has gone to great lengths to safeguard his merchandise. No sane person covers their products in oil, yet I curse myself all the same for not seeing it. Alas, hunger dulls the thoughts. As I rush through the market, I glance behind me. Standing beside the bellowing stallkeeper is the child. The very one who lost to my tricks. Though his movements are clumsy, he uses the commotion I created to steal a good deal of fruit. Good for you. That is all I say before melting into the shadows. Time to separate myself from a fellow thief, for this is one of the rules, after all.
I have been bound for all of my days. Bound to a dazzling prison others name a palace. My elegant fetters are contained in the title of princess. Only once in my youth did I comprehend freedom. When I was young, I grew tired of my stuffy life in the palace and impulsively fled. For the first time, I walked the nighttime streets of the city, where a fantastical atmosphere welcomed me with open arms. I walked and walked until I no longer knew where I was. I couldn't see the palace, or even the mighty spire atop it.
Loneliness overcame me then, causing tears to tremble in the corners of my eyes. "Is something troubling you, young lady?" said the voice of an old woman from somewhere behind me. Relieved that help had finally arrived, I suddenly burst out weeping. So loud was my wailing that all those walking the streets stopped to look. But the old woman gently took my hand and led me away. She led me to her home, a small domicile where she told the fortunes of others. Crystals glowed faintly, exotic rugs tickled my feet. I cannot remember the fortune she scribed for me, but I will never forget the shock that pierced my heart in that moment. I eventually came to love the night. One reason, perhaps the most important, was that I could escape the palace and find new sides of myself. The day I met the old woman, I made of her a request. "Please make me your apprentice and teach me to divine futures." Though she agreed, her teachings were harsh. "People place their lives in the hands of fortunes," she would say. Under her strict tutelage, I gleaned the secrets of divination. Eventually, I began to perform readings for others under her watchful eye. I was cautious. If ever I saw a bad result, I worded it in a way that sounded positive. In the palace, I yearned for night. In the old woman's house, I divined futures. For a time, this was my life. One day, when the old woman was away, a red-headed couple came to have their fortunes told. I was overconfident by then, and thought I could do it without her help. As the crystal ball sparked to life, I witnessed a catastrophic future. And I found I did not have the words to change it. A rumor drew a crowd to the bay. A man and woman fought over the end of their relationship, and the woman ended up drowning the man. The woman had short, striking red hair. Red hair was unusual in this nation. I realized at once she was the same woman whose fortune I had told. That was when I knew. I had the power to manipulate the lives of others through divination. To that point, I had nothing in my life save the title of princess. But now I had a secret power. All that awaited me, however, was the old woman's rage. She blamed me for warping the fates of others through my inexperience. All my excuses fell on deaf ears, and she threw me from her home. The last thing she said to me was this: "You have no right to tell the fortune of another." Days later, as the sun dawned on the city, another crowd gathered. They were a mob, and they ripped the old woman's house down with their own hands. They screamed and trampled the remains, destroying everything. The old woman's prized divination tools were buried beneath the rubble. And I watched, and I smiled. I struggled to keep back the laughter bubbling in my throat. I had used my powers selfishly to unleash the mob. For even after she sent me away, I continued to foretell the future. I could not find the strength to stop. I worked quietly, propped up alone in a dark back alley. I told fortunes. I turned people into my playthings. I could never go back. Because the day I ripped that couple apart, I felt something new. That realization that I could change someone's fate. It was deep, powerful, distorted. It was bliss.
We were a perfectly average family, leading a perfectly average life. I used to love Sundays when I was little. It was the one day of the week I got to spend with Mom, Dad, and my little brother. We'd always make lunch together. And cooking is such an adventure for a little kid. I'd try to copy the cooking video playing on the tablet, but every time I went to crack an egg, things got interesting. I'd go through an entire carton trying to get it right, and Dad would laugh each time I didn't. One day, I finally got my egg in the pan with a minimal amount of shell. I whispered the magic word for my secret flipping technique, and... My brother poked the ticklish spot on my side, causing the egg to smear all over the pan. He was always such a little jerk. Anyway, I draped the remains of the egg over some golden rice and called it good. Then I drew a smiling sun on it with ketchup and gave it to Dad. "This looks just like you," he said. "And just like a sun." I beamed. It was the first parents' visiting day of my elementary school life. The unusual prospect of a family visit set the class abuzz. Even our teacher, who was terrifying when angry, seemed nervous. Dad even took off work so he could come. Our first class of the day was social studies, followed by science and math. Whenever the teacher asked who knew an answer, I waved my hand over my head like a crazy person and screamed, "Me, me, me." Dad watched as I breezily wrote the answer down on the blackboard. In our final class, the students had to give a presentation about the origins of our names. Everyone seemed embarrassed by their parents' reasons for choosing names. But I was ready. The day before, Dad said they named me Hina because it means sunshine. When I was finished, my teacher told me my name suited me perfectly. My friends all agreed, and I felt like I was going to explode with pride. When I got to high school, our family underwent a seismic shift. My parents got divorced. We used to cook together on the weekend, go on trips together. Now everything was different. I thought happy families like ours only got ripped apart in TV shows. I ended up living with Dad. He was mentally and emotionally broken, and no longer smiled like he used to. He'd just lay down and stare into space. Even breathing seemed to cause him pain. The people around me all worried about him. Teachers, counselors, friends. They constantly asked if I was doing okay, and seemed to be searching for a way to connect with me. But I just smiled and said everything was fine. Even if it wasn't. Even if I was miserable. Because as long as I kept smiling, I thought there was a chance Dad would go back to his old self. The days following the divorce turned into weeks, months. I tried everything I could think of to get our lives back, all while going to school. I just wanted a life like everyone else. And I had no idea just how far we'd actually fallen. One day, I was having a mindless chat with a friend on the phone. We were gossiping about random things at school. Near the end of the call, she got serious and asked if everything was okay at home. "Everything's fine," I replied in a chipper voice. I ended the call. The screen went black. I could see my reflection in its surface, my face strained under the weight of a false smile. And in that moment, I understood everything. My parents chose my name because they wanted me to smile as brightly as the sun. But it quickly became a curse that bound me. Because no matter how hard or painful my life, everyone expected me to have a brilliant, beaming smile on my face.
It happened when I started elementary school. I used to come home crying every day. I was extremely shy, and my classmates saw that weakness and took to bullying me. I'd try to wipe the tears away and put on a brave face, but Mom always knew. She'd ask if something happened, and I would just nod. She never said anything else. She'd just sit there and quietly stroke my hair. I remember moonlight pouring in through a window. I used to lie in her bed while she sang me a lullaby. I don't remember the words exactly, but it went something like this. Though the moon stands alone in the night sky, its gentle light shows the way for everyone else. Part of my name means moon. Mom apparently named me after the lullaby. She wanted me to be the kind of person who helped others, even if no one sought me out specifically, even if I didn't fit in. The moment she told me this, I swore to become the moon. I was shy as ever when I started middle school. Everyone else could just strike up conversations with perfect strangers, and they all had tons of new friends within the first week. I couldn't begin to fathom how their brains worked. But I was used to being alone. Around that time, I saw a boy in glasses being bullied in a secluded staircase. The bullying was typical, even cliché, like something you'd see in a bad movie. The timid boy was surrounded by a group of larger classmates. They were pushing him around, demanding his money. It was painful to watch. The boy in glasses eventually pulled out a 1,000-yen note from his wallet. But the moment he did, a bucket of water came crashing over the bullies' heads. They were soaked from head to foot. "We'll get you for this," they shouted as they ran away. It was me, of course. I'm the one who threw the water. And then I watched as they scurried up the stairs and escaped to the floor above. After I helped the boy in glasses escape his tormentors, I was reminded of Mom's lullaby. Maybe I really could help others. After that, I made a point of stopping bullying whenever I saw it. Like that day in science class, when the classroom skeleton with limbs attached to strings suddenly started dancing. Or the day in the landing, where a wave of ping pong balls came clattering down the stairs. Each time, the bullies ran away howling with their tails between their legs. I loved seeing that. It was such a hilarious contrast to their usual invincible air. But the last time I stood there laughing as the bullies scattered, I heard a voice behind me. Was that you? It was the boy in glasses. Though I had helped him from the shadows again and again, that was the first time he'd spoken to me. Unsure what to say in response, I could only bring myself to nod. That day, the hum of cicadas provided a comforting background noise as the sun set over the school. I stood waiting at the gates. The boy with glasses had asked me to walk home with him. When was the last time I left school with someone else? Brilliant orange light reflected off the windows of skyscrapers as we made our way home. We walked in perfect silence. But though I felt somewhat lost, I also felt a strange sense of comfort. We passed through the busy part of town and came to an empty street. When we did, the boy with glasses finally spoke. Please don't bother me anymore. Things are easier when I'm being bullied. I don't want to be a loner like you. We parted ways after that, and I took my usual route home. The moon shone lonely against the pitch-black curtain of night. Can I ever be like the moon, Mom? I stared at the sky the entire way home. The sharp edges of the beautiful moon blurring beneath my tears.
「毎日変わらずに訪れる無意味な日常。発生したこともない有事に備え、私は隔離された基地の中に幽閉され続けている。赴任してからもうすぐ365日が経つ。以前お祝いにとポットがくれた赤い造花をいじりながら、私は何とか退屈に耐えようとしていた。ねえ、暇すぎ。なんか楽しいことない？持て余した時間に溺れかけた私はつぶやいた。すると、 ポットが見かねたようなジェスチャーをして何かのデータをしぶしぶ表示する。データの中身は業務中には見たことがないものだった。数学的な配列ではなく自然言語がパッケージされている。私が中身を認識するかしないかのうちに、ポットはゆっくりと優しい口調でデータを読み聞かせた。なんと、その内容は人類の世界の物語だったのだ。それは若き少年と機械の従者が歩む物語。戦火の中で傷ついた人々のもとを巡る旅路。人って戦争を生むだけじゃないんだね。人類という存在への学び、初めて感じた興味と関心。それは乾ききっていた私の日常に潤いをもたらした。隔離された基地で過ごす無味乾燥とした日々。その退屈な日常をポットの物語が一変させた。他の話も聞かせてほしい。ポットにそう願うも、またいつかね、とあしらわれてしまう。それなら、こっちにも考えがある。物語の出所を探すため、私はポットに隠れて、人類の情報が残るサーバーに不正アクセスする。予想通り、そこにはいくつもの物語が残されていた。ビンゴ、ポットのやつ、自分ばっかり。私はこそこそと物語のデータを読みふける。そのうち、私は少年の物語を再び手に取った。ポットが聞かせてくれた話を自ら読みたかったのだ。だが、読み聞かされた内容と大部分が異なっている。いや、その内容は今も文字が踊るように変化し続けているのだ。異変の報告をすれば秘め事はバレてしまうだろう。それでも物語を、少年を、私は守りたかった。迷いはない。私は即座にポットを呼び出した。怒られたら、その時だ。もう旅なんかやめよう。戦争は止められない。小屋の中に閉じこもる少年。背中をさすって癒す従者。私とポットは書き換えられた物語のデータに入り、様子のおかしい少年たちを眺めていた。彼、本物？別人みたい。旅を放棄した少年。物語のデータは汚染されていた。少年の肩に小さな黒い鳥が止まっている。私たちはあの小鳥が汚染の原因ではないかと結論付けた。 少年の背にそっと近づき、黒い鳥を追い払う。しかし、変わらずに殻に閉じこもり続ける少年。予想とは裏腹に、彼の様子は変わらない。報告。これは手遅れかもしれないわ。物語は根本まで汚染されているかも、とポットは言う。修復の方法を問うと、ポットは打つ手がないという。絶望的とも言える状況。それでも私は諦めきれなかった。優しくも儚い少年の物語。ポットが初めて私に読み聞かせてくれた物語。汚染された物語のデータの修復は不可能。それなら、と、私はこの手で一から物語を書き直すことに決めたのだ。思い出だけを頼りに手作業で物語を修復する。ポットの手も借りつつ、少しずつ少年の一生をしたためていった。やがて物語が完成する。残りは完成品を元の保存先に上書きするだけだ。しかし安堵とともに一つの疑問が湧く。ただの物語がなぜこんなにも深い階層に保存されているのか。まるで人類の記憶そのもののように大事に守られて、頭の中に妄想とも呼べる考えが浮かぶ。ねえ、ポット。その瞬間、私の胸に真っ赤な花が、風穴が開いた。ごめんなさい。シンプには気がついてほしくなかった。これからは私だけで黒いと戦うわ。振り返ると武器を浮かぶポッの姿。胸に開く穴からポッ見出や物語がこしてゆく。疲労